All right, guys, we got some more news today from the dev team. It seems like we're getting new. This is actually a little bit more than news. They're actually going to add some more functionality to the swap protocol, but basically we're getting new news, new product, new function. Almost it seems like every day. I mean, it's pretty wild. The devs are definitely working hard. But today what they released was an article about something that should be coming, which is the Panther Locker, and if you didn't know, I think they didn't claim this in the article specifically, but if you're just kind of keeping up with the news around Panther, I'm pretty sure this is in response to an anti-rug community kind of allegations they made towards Panther Swap. They're basically saying that Panther Swap has there were some transfers from a couple different addresses, which turned out to be contracts to private addresses, and of course that is a cause for concern, and if there's evidence for that, it should be discussed and talked about. So um now I'll get into my opinion on all that as well, because obviously I have my own opinions. But first, let's go through this Panther Locker post that they made, and then I'll talk about the anti-rug comments, and then I want to talk about a little bit just about this article at the very end. All right. So first, let's see what Panther Locker is and what the devs are talking about. We can kind of skip this first part because the first part is pretty much just describing the AMM, and we've made some videos on that. So I put an orange dot right here. I'll get into what the orange dots mean. Right now we're focusing on these red dots, and those are just a reminder for me so I know where to stop the page to talk about stuff. The red dots are kind of the important topics that Panther Swap is releasing, and what we're gonna see here with the Panther Locker, and kind of why they're even telling us about this in the first place. The yellow dots are completely different. I'll get into that at the end of the video. Okay, so let's get it. So this is kind of from my perspective. Again, I'm just an investor. I don't have any inside knowledge. I'm just some people brought up questions about the anti-rug communities, what they were talking about, how I just described earlier with some transfers and stuff. So I have people trying to ask me questions, and so I need to do the research, and I need to have at least somewhat of an informed opinion. So what I did is I read through the entirety of the anti-rug telegram. I read their complete, I believe it was a Medium article on how they feel about Panther Swap, and I read through the smart contracts. I'm not an expert, so I'm not like, obviously I don't work for Certic. I'm not auditing anybody, but I did try to read through the contracts myself. I read through the documentation, Panther Swap documentation again, to try to see, like, okay, if they did move this money, what was it, something they were trying to hide, or is it actually in the doc somewhere? So I'm going to give you my opinion on all those things I researched after we discuss a little bit of this about the Panther Locker. That's the first thing I want to do. So here's what they're saying happened. Here's what Panther is saying. Before they came out with the AMM, the automatic liquidity, which is a smart contract that puts liquidity into Panther through the fee cycle, because of the fees. That's where a portion of the money is going. And what happened was, basically, I might get some things wrong here, so you guys have to do your own research. It gets technical. I'm gonna try to do my best. All right. So again, if you need official information, go to the dev team, go to the admins. I'm just doing my best researching. So basically, they had this contract, and the contract still exists. It's still doing its thing, and it adds liquidity. And see, I don't want to get this wrong, so make sure you do your own research. But I think some of that money was moved. All right. So they say, according to our plan, the Panther BNB liquidity and Pancake Swap will be migrated to Panther Swap once we release our AMM exchange. That's the reason why this Panther BNB liquidity and Pancake Swap hasn't been locked since the project launch. So I think what happened was they moved some liquidity, some BNB Panther, and they just have it sitting somewhere in a wallet. It's not staked. It's not adding liquidity. It's just sitting there. Now again, you got to do this research yourself, because I can try to follow smart contracts. I can try to follow the chain and see where things go. I am not an expert. All right. So we can skip a little bit of this. So here they're saying, during the AMM, the migration that we all just went through, more than 75% of the liquidity has migrated. This doesn't really matter. That's just cool because people are migrating. They're saying that there's 21.8 million Panther left in PancakeSwap, which the biggest holder is them. It's that contract. Now, all this doesn't really matter. Like, it's kind of a little bit deflection. And one thing it's kind of weird is if you read this, they say we were going to put it in liquidity, but then we decided not to, etc., etc. Honestly, it doesn't look great, but here's the deal. Is the dev team is getting basically 10% of all the Panther money. Like, and that's for development. This is stated in the roadmap. So if you do the math, really what they're doing is all kind of already allocated within the funds that they are transparently, they allocated for themselves from the get-go. It's not hidden at all. Now, where the problem would come in is if they're moving funds that they're not supposed to be moving, because that destroys the credibility of the smart contracts and it destroys the credibility of their word. I don't think that's what's happening, honestly. I'm not saying it's not a possibility. I'm not in anybody's mind. If PantherSwap was trying to rug pull, they would have done it already. And if PantherSwap was going to rug pull, they are no longer going to rug pull. The project's too big. And I'm saying if, because I just like to talk about all the possibilities. I don't think I'm invested, and I'm obviously making all these videos. I wouldn't be doing all this if I think they're going to walk away with everyone's money. So I just like to talk about all the possibilities. So don't think I'm trying to FUD. It's FUD to not openly talk about all possibilities. So let's talk about the possibility if PantherSwap was trying to rug pull. If they were a rug pull, they wouldn't do it anymore. Our community is too strong and it's grown too big. The liquidity is already there. One, it would be a massive effect if they rug pulled. Two, they're making far more money by continuing and by developing this project. You got to imagine how much money Panther's making right now. Like, you're making money, I'm making money, we're all making money. They're making retarded amounts of money. Why would they rug pull? That's not a smart move for them. The only reason they would rug pull, and again, this is just my crazy brain. I like to think about conspiracies and this kind of stuff. So this is just speculation. This is just me having fun. The only reason I can see that they would rug pull at this point is if they're in trouble with the law. Like, something is happening to where they need to get out. But if they're just doing their job, there's no reason for them to rug pull at this point. They're making way more money by having a good product. Panther's a good product. It has been a good product in my experience. They're hitting all their goals, etc., etc. I see no signs of rug pull. Now, if transfers were made behind the scenes, that's not a good look. And that's why the Panther team is coming out with this article and trying to let you know. Now, there are parts of this article that it's not reassuring to me. It seems a little wishy-washy. You guys got to decide that for yourself. At the end of the day, I'm not moving any of my money. I think Panther's a secure, strong thing, and I'm very happy with it. So let's keep going. So basically what they're saying is they were gonna add this to liquidity on Pancake or something like that, or move it, but they don't want to anymore. And what they did instead is they're making something called Panther Locker, and they're just gonna stick that money in the Panther Locker. That's pretty much what their plan is now. They said, they got together and they talked about it for 2 days, et cetera, et cetera. So what you guys need to ask yourself as investors, are you okay with that? Are you okay with them getting together and talking and changing the course of what's going on with this money? Me personally, I am okay with that. And personally, I don't feel like I've been lied to, because in the documentation, in all the documents that you should have read before you invested, dude, the dev team gets 10% minimum of all the money. That's huge. So if you're okay with that, all of this falls under that. If you're okay with the dev team having access to large percentages of the ecosystem for development purposes, then all this falls under that, and you shouldn't be upset. Now, you can still be upset if they're being shady. And I don't think they're really being shady. You got to figure that out for yourself. So, what are they doing? They're making this thing called Panther Locker. What is Panther Locker? Well, I guess they already have some services where you can lock up funds. I guess it's just kind of for safety. But they don't want to go through these other services, which I agree with. Do it yourself, especially if you can program it up yourself. Do it yourself. Keep the money in-house. You're going to have to pay fees to these Unicrypt people, et cetera, et cetera. So the Panther Locker idea is pretty cool. I'm still need to be convinced, like, what is it? What's it even for, But, because isn't that just what a wallet is, to hold your money? But I think this Panther Locker, so yeah, I'm mistaken. I got to read more. The Panther Locker, it says right here, it's going to have some smart contract ability. It's going to have some programmability. So they're saying, like, they're transferring the ownership to this time lock contract, which should mean that once it's there, it can't be moved for a certain amount of time, etc. So it is a bit different than just having this Panther Locker is a bit different than just having it in a wallet somewhere, because like they said right here, they're going to have time locks and probably other, like, for lack of a better word, regulations on that wallet to show that money is going to be sitting there for a long time, which is why they would call it a locker. So they're also saying that all liquidity added by the automatic liquidity acquisition function will be sent to the Panther Locker weekly. So basically, we're also going to see now some of the portion of the money is going to be going to a new place. This stuff, they changed their router, etc. It doesn't matter too much for us. Okay, so now let me get into the allegations by the anti-rug community. I kind of got into it a little bit, and then I'm going to go over these yellow dots. So the anti-rug community came out with an article basically saying that Panther team was moving some funds that they didn't like. They claim that they wouldn't move, have access to, etc. If you look at the contracts yourself, it doesn't really seem that fishy. The money got moved, and it never got touched since then. And the money was moved, like, I wish I knew the exact dates this project began. But it looks to me, if you look at the dates, the money was moved, like, within the first day or second day of the project's existence. So again, with my conspiratorial mind, maybe they were planning maybe they were keeping some money for themselves. Now, I don't even have a problem with that, dude. The only thing I have a problem with is lack of transparency, lack of honesty. That's one of the only things I'm concerned with. Everything else, you should just try to become a programmer and read the smart contracts yourself. I personally don't have a problem with the dev team putting aside $1 million for themselves. Dude, we're all making money. They created it's like if someone made Microsoft, they deserve to be paid for that. The devs deserve to be paid well. The only problem is honesty and transparency. So personally, I don't even have a problem with them taking a piece of the pie for themselves. They're the one putting all this together. Now, they already have that 10%, and that's gigantic. You got to understand how gigantic 10% of the Panther transfers are. They're probably making millions of dollars a day. All right. So let's talk about anti-rug and what I think about them. I don't want to bash on people. Like I said, I read through the Telegram. I read through the article. I'm going to keep this short and simple because I don't want to start problems with anti-rug community. I don't know them. I don't know their motives. My opinion from what I read and what I saw is they have an agenda. They're not being entirely honest in the way they write. They aren't professional in the way that they talk. I could give you examples. I could show you examples. Like off the top of my head, they're in the Telegram. Like they're basically talking about going into Panther Swap telegrams and FUDing basically, and how that's gonna work. And they're basically just like in the article they talk about, oh, Panther Swap, it grew so much because of good marketing. I haven't seen Panther Swap market anything ever. I don't have all the examples remembered like on the top of my head, but go through and look at it yourself, guys, and make your own judgment on the anti-rug community. I see the anti-rug community as not existing in the future. They're gonna rug pull before Panther ever rug pulls. I think Panther's gonna succeed, and these comments they made on Panther is not gonna help them out in their long-term growth. Now that being said, they need to speak the truth. So if Panther succeeds because there's money behind it, but anti-rug was right, well, anti-rug did the right thing, and they need to tell the truth, just like I need to tell the truth, even though I'm invested in Panther. So my personal opinion on anti-rug is they're not doing a great job with what they're stating they're trying to do. And honestly, like I would hope that they at least made an attempt to talk to the devs themselves before they come out with those kind of articles, etc. So look into all that yourself. Me personally, I got no faith in the anti-rug community. They look like they aren't even professional. So that's my opinion. Now let's talk about Panther Swap and their professionality, because there's some problems there as well. Like I said, I'm an investor in Panther. I'm not going to lie to people, but I don't want to sit up here and talk shit on Panther. Like I just said, I'm invested in Panther. I want Panther to do as well as possible. I'm never going to lie to anybody, though. So let's talk about some of the problems I have with this article. I talked about a couple of them. Their reasonings are, let's be honest, a little fishy. Them moving that money around, they don't really have a good answer for it. They try to explain it in here, but do your own research. In my opinion, all this falls under development, and it's kind of covered in that 10%. But if there's no good answer for the movement of the money, which you need to decide on yourself, because they just gave their answer. Their answer for why that money was moved is in this article. Whether you think they're telling the truth or not, that's up to you. And I'm not telling you I don't believe them. I'm not telling you I do believe them. You got to decide that for yourself. My problems with the article are grammatical. Like I said earlier, Panther Swap is fucking probably making millions of dollars a day. I'm making these numbers up. I'm just guessing based on what I see. The people who made Panther Swap are making tons of money right now. They have to be. So the fact that this article has grammatical errors all over the place, is clearly not written by an English speaker, or at least at the very least edited by an English speaker, is unprofessional and unacceptable when we're talking about the types of money that these people are making. Now, I'm not a big grammar guy. Like I told you, I care about the programming. I care about the development. They're clearly competent developers. They're pushing shit out all the time. Their roadmap's being hit. We just had a completely successful migration. They thought about the community, etc., etc. That's what matters. What matters the most is the development technically of this project. All I'm saying is, if the development is succeeding and you're raking in money, man, hire somebody who speaks English to write your articles, or at least edit them. So this first sentence, it's not like grammatically that bad, but it's clear an English speaker did not write this. The story begins with the automatic liquidity acquisition function in the Panther. Like that's fine, but that's not good English. That's not good English. It's not wrong, but it's not good English. But before we released our AMM exchange, automatic liquidity was added to Panther Swap's Panther BNB liquidity pool, and we received Cake LP tokens according to our plan. We will be migrated to the Panther swap once we release our that's the reason why this Panther vehicle liquidity and Panther swap. So I don't know. I put an orange dot here because there's a grammatical error in here somewhere. I don't want to sit here and waste your guys' time because I can't see it immediately. But oh, right here. Before we release our AMM exchange, automatic released. It's past tense. They released it. But before we released our AMM exchange, like this is like 3rd grade grammar. You guys got to get an English speaker to write this stuff. I'll do it. I will literally do it. Clearly, I'm building this community. Clearly, I used to do investigative journalism. I used to write articles. I can write. You got to get an English speaker to write this stuff. It's just unprofessional. I got orange dots here, so there's more grammatical errors. It's just, yes, we're on it. Like, after we decided not to migrate the automatic liquidity and pancake swap, what we urgently need to do is lock this huge money. This huge money. That's not English. Like, that's not how an English speaker speaks. We need to lock this huge money. Nah, change that. Yes, we're on it. Yes, we're on it. Nobody says that. That's not English. Like, it's English, but it's not English. Yesterday we tried several liquidity services, etc., etc. Do you think that problem after they I don't want to read through this and look for the grammatical errors. You can do it yourself. I marked it, so it's probably there. So we developed and deployed a simple locker contract named Panther Locker by ourselves. Yes, we're good at it. You guys are good. You guys are doing a great job developing. You're not good at English. All right? Nobody says that. Yes, we're good at it. That's not how you say stuff in English. You guys are amazing. Shout out to the dev team. I'm loving Panther every day. This is not good English. This is the worst part right here. Except for some of the, like, after experiencing so much, I think we have I hope there's an A here. I hope I marked out the A. After experiencing so much, I think we have a new idea. We will provide a free token and liquidity locking service in the near future for all developers and all projects, including us. This is another typo. The second to last word of the article is a typo. These people are making millions of dollars. We got to have actual English. So that's what I had to say. Long story short, the dev team, they're at least attempting to be transparent, and they're attempting to tell you guys what the plan is with that money. Whether they're being honest, it does matter, but going forward, it doesn't matter that much. They can, but rug pulling is not in their best interest. And having questions surrounding these transfers is not in their best interest. So they're going to try to clear up those questions. Whether their answers to those questions are truthful or not, you have to do the research. They're going to make some sick-ass thing called Panther Locker. Secondly, the anti-rug pull community, in my eyes, I wouldn't give them credibility. I'll leave it at that. Thirdly, you guys are making a lot of money. Pay somebody to actually pay an English speaker to write these articles, which the devs are anonymous. If you guys want to remain anonymous, when an English speaker reads this, they instantly know you are not an English speaker, a first language English speaker. That doesn't help with your anonymity. So if you want to stay anonymous, you might want to get somebody who can write English as well as a native born person could. And because it's unprofessional. So, all in all, I strongly support Panther. I think they're doing a great job. The product is working. Every day, I'm excited about Panther. I'm excited about the future of Panther. I have to talk about all possibilities. If there isn't somebody talking about all possibilities, that is not good for Panther or the Panther community. So I had to get everything out on the table. I'm very bullish on Panther. I don't want to make that, I don't want that to be mistaken. I support Panther, and there's just a couple things, like the English is the main thing, and uh yeah, so basically that's the Panther Locker. I think once the Panther Locker is out, that's gonna be pretty cool. I don't know exactly how it's gonna benefit us. Like, what's the point of it, honestly? It kind of seems like they're just they're trying to find an answer for that money that was moved. So you guys got to come up with these. You got to come up with your own opinions on all this, and I appreciate you guys for watching. I'm looking forward to the development of Panther, and I think everybody else should be as well. So appreciate you guys.